Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Young Classics. This is episode number 1766 and Doubleshot number 1660. Two easy trades. First one, collecting a 3-issue miniseries that came on back in the 1980s. You're thinking 3 issues and collecting a trade because they're double-sized issues. That's pretty much the reason for it. Well, we have Green Arrow, Longbow Hunters, written and drawn by Mike Groh, who I'm going to see at Comic-Con next month. Yep. I pray to God he doesn't cancel because I really want to meet this artist. I really want to meet this because I love his Green Arrow work. This book, the best way to describe this book is that it's a backdoor pilot to the Green Arrow ongoing series started in 1988. This miniseries was started back in, I think it was like 1987. Am I correct? Yeah. It was released in 1987. First it was released in August, September. And then like the final issue was released in October. But the Green Arrow book was released the following year. Now why do I say this is a backdoor pilot? Well, because we have Green Arrow moving to Seattle. He's no longer in Star City at this point. He's with Black Canary, who, here's a little fun fact for you. Black Canary puts on her costume once. This entire miniseries. One. Despite the fact comparing all 3 issues, she puts on for like 2 pages. And what does that lead to? Her and Green Arrow having sex off screen. Yes, seriously. Mike Groh's run, if anybody's ever read it, it's a very mature run. And this pretty much is this is the setup for it. Now, there are 2 prominent characters who are heavily associated with Mike Groh, who have made appearances on the TV show Arrow. And this miniseries is debut. The first one is Shadow, a Japanese archer who became primarily a recurring character in Green Arrow comics for decades afterwards, even during the most recent Green Arrow run. Okay, now originally Shadow, let me show what she looks like here. That's her right there. That's Shadow. Now Shadow herself basically has got this dragon tattoo. The reason why she's got that because she's associated with the Yakuza. Yes. Now, this is the style of Mike Groh's artwork. Yeah, this is Mike Groh's artwork. I love this style. It's really good. Yes, and there has been sort of a joke in the book for a few years at this point where at one point when Warlord, yes, Mike Groh's Warlord showed up in Seattle, and everybody accused of being Oliver Queen because they look exactly alike. Because basically, well, Warlord is basically drawn that way. Yep. Now, Shadow's first appearance in the comic. Now, at the start of it, you do see Green Arrow wearing his costume, but here's the thing. He's never once ever referred to as Green Arrow. And here is Black Canary in her soul, like in these 2 pages here. This page here, and this page, we see from the rear end. That's the only time in this entire miniseries you see Diana Drake put on her costume. Yep. And she gets kidnapped in this miniseries by a serial killer known as Seattle Slasher. Now, it's mentioned here that she doesn't want kids because apparently we'll grow up orphans. Though this kind of contradicts later on what Mike Groh does with her. So you see Green Arrow. Now, this is the costume he would wear throughout his entire series. This very costume right here. This actually is the first appearance of this version of the costume. The hood, which people think, a hood? Like, that's commonly associated with Arrow, with the whole hood thing. You could say Mike Groh was the first one to start that, because, well, he kind of is. Now, because the whole thing with Green Arrow is he's heavily ripped off from Robin Hood. Now, in the miniseries here, now here's first appearance of Shadow right here on this page. It's 2-page spread. Now, only in this miniseries, plus a couple issues later on in the ongoing book, the actually wear his domino mask. A lot of the time, he doesn't bother to wear a mask at all. Do not know why, but he doesn't. We also have the first appearance miniseries of James Cameron, which I'm assuming is named after the movie director, James Cameron. The guy who directed movies like Aliens, Terminator 1, Terminator 2, Avatar, True Lies, that guy. I'm sure he's named after him, but can't find information about it. I'm sure it probably is. Yep. So Green Arrow kind of in a way moves to Seattle at this point. And he's in Seattle for pretty much the entirety of the Mike Grell run. And then he leaves in issue 80. And he never comes back to Seattle again until the most recent run. Also, this miniseries was the debut of the Sherwood Flowery, which is simply put his base operations he would have throughout the Mike Grell run. Mm-hmm. Yep. And throughout this book, he frequently encounters Shadow. Now, I'm not going to show this next page because this is probably shown online where you have this guy who was a cocaine dealer, which Black Canary caught up with, basically slashing her up. And it's been implied that this guy, when he was slashed, apparently removed her ability to have children, which apparently Chuck Dixon fixed during his run for Birds of Prey. Yep. Now, in the final issue miniseries, we have a debut of one new character, who's another character who's kind of associated with Mike Grell's run, who actually was brought back during Ben Percy's run. Now, who is he, you might ask? This is him. Eddie Fires. Yep, Eddie Fires. Another character who also popped up in Arrow as the main villain of the flashbacks for Season 1 for Arrow. Yes. And this third issue here introduces him. Mostly put Eddie Fires, when he appears in the Mike Grell run, usually is there for the summer story arcs. That's mostly what he was there for. And he was mostly a recurring character throughout Mike Grell's run. He became a regular supporting character when Chuck Dixon took over the book, who pretty much made him basically a surrogate father to Connor Hawke when he took over the book. I gotta say, this definitely was a good book. I love reading it. It's definitely good. I give this book a 9 out of 10. I will get a 9.5. Also, I would not show this book to kids because this book is very mature. And here's a small little fun fact for you. Did you know there's a group of group of characters in the Green Arrow comics who call themselves the Gumball Hunters? Yes, this actually was, get this, a group of villains assembled by Rico Draz. Yep, Rico Draz. And you're thinking, really? Yes, really. And you're thinking, why the heck would that be? Well, I'm sure that Jeff Lemire was probably doing a homage to, of all things, I'm sure he's probably doing a homage to this era of Green Arrow. It's possible, to say at least, this miniseries. I'm sure it probably is. I've not had confirmation about that, but I'm sure that's probably what it is. Yes. Now, I'm definitely looking forward to reading more of Mike Grell stuff for Green Arrow in the future, because this is a run for Green Arrow I thoroughly enjoyed, and some could say this run was loosely inspired. They used for some elements of this run from Arrow Season 1. Even though it's loosely inspired also by Green Arrow Year 1. But the whole thing, him killing, him wearing the hood, that's what Mike Grell's run. That's pretty much where that started with. Now, according to Neil Adams, he was not a fan of the killing stuff. He was never a big fan of that. And I did talk to him about Mike Grell's run. He, not really the biggest fan of it. That's according to him. But I enjoy the run because it's a long-running Green Arrow run. And here's a strange fun fact for you about this one for Green Arrow. This is the longest run for Green Arrow. Of all the runs for Green Arrow for ongoing, this one's the longest. 80 issues. Now, it started back in 1988. That's where it started with. Yes, that's where it started with. And yeah, the first issue was released which came out roughly about 4 months later. Yeah, just 4 months after the finale for this book came out. That's when they released this book. And Mike Grell didn't officially wrap up his run until November of 1993. So roughly a 6-year run. What normally would be about 7 years actually was done in 6. Yes. Because right after his run wrapped up, basically we have a series of rotating writers up until Chuck Dixon became the regular writer for the book, up until the cancellation. Alright, we're jumping ahead from 1987 to 2021. We have Shazam! To Hell and Back. Yes, this is a mini-series for Captain Marvel. Released just last year, written by Tim Sheridan. The trade collects that mini-series plus Future State Shazam. My only guess is the reason I threw in here because, number one, it preceded this miniseries, and number two, same writer, Tim Sheridan. Yeah, basically that miniseries kind of explores something we see here, where the Captain Marvel powers are not working properly, so he works with the son of the devil in order to basically fix it. And apparently, the Rocket Eternity has moved. This is also taking place when he was basically a student at the Teen Titans Academy, which, in my opinion, is a really bad idea. Here's the reason why. He was a member of the Justice League. Did the writers of DC Comics forget that? He was a member of the Justice League. He's a full-fledged superhero. So, why in the world is he part of this group? I have no idea. This is also the very first book released for Shazam since the brief ongoing series done by Jeff Johns, which was really good, by the way. Got canceled 15 issues. This book was only just 4 issues, and that was it. I only got this book because I liked Captain Marvel. I liked the character. This is the most recent thing they've done for him solo-wise. No, I'm not kidding about that. This miniseries. Now, in this miniseries, he runs the main villain of Future State Shazam, which is Necron. Yep, runs to him in here halfway through this miniseries while trying to figure out what's happened to Rocket Eternity. He also runs into, apparently, a younger version of Black Adam, who apparently is new wizard. As what happens to Wizard Shazam, they don't really explain it. It's just that Billy Batson has lost contact with him, and he has no idea where he is. Freddie Freeman does briefly appear in this series. Freddie Freeman was at one point Captain Marvel Jr. His sister is mentioned a few times. Does not make a physical appearance in the series at all. No, not really. Despite the fact, yes, we do have it where we have the Titans Tower appear in the background, which, of course, this actually is the one that popped up in the Dan Abnett run for Titans. The one that appeared in the Ben Purvis run for Teen Titans, that has completely disappeared. Yeah, apparently that was dropped as soon as Ben Purvis left the book. I'm going to ask about that when I get a chance to meet up with him at Comic-Con next month. Tim Sheridan, as far as I can tell, I don't think he's scheduled for Comic-Con next month. I don't know, I have to check it later. But this miniseries as a whole, it's just really good. It's a really good book for him. I've been enjoying reviewing these miniseries, this stuff for the Infinite Frontier stuff. Now, does it explore anything really new with Captain Marvel? No, not per se, aside from the fact that I still agree with the opinion that calling him Shazam is a terrible idea. Calling him Captain Marvel would probably be a better idea. I mean, I don't mind calling the book Shazam because they can't call the book Captain Marvel because Marvel owns the rights to that name. Okay, fine. But calling the character Shazam, that's a bad idea. Yes. Now, the artwork for both... Now, these miniseries are done by 2 different artists. You have Clayton Henry and Edward Brazil. Clayton Henry is also the inker. Yes. The cover here for the trade is done by Clayton Henry and Marco Molino. Yes. And the style of story it makes sense. Basically what it is, it's a magical-based story, but it involves demons. Well, mostly put, you can say it's a follow-up of Future State. That's most what this book is. But this book is good. Give this book a 9.5 out of 10. I found it pretty good. Yeah. I wonder how my friend Timmy feels about this miniseries. I know I agree with him. Teen Titans Academy is terrible. I will be reviewing that at some point. And yes, I do know the book is getting canceled soon after 15 issues, which... Okay, can we get a regular Teen Titans book? But with a good writer, please? Yes, pick good writer to write that book. I mean, don't pick Adam Glassing. That was a terrible idea. Because he had one of the most unpopular runs on Suicide Squad. You pick him to do Teen Titans? Really? Okay, whatever. So that's particularly it for this particular review. Stay tuned for a few other videos happening today. I mean, as far as I can tell, these videos are going to probably happen today. Super Sentai. Comic Summer Level 4 and case closed. Okay, next video. Bye.